This is the WeCreat 40-watt laser engraver, and it has been great. WeCreat sent me this out a couple weeks ago. I did a full review on it, and I've been using it a lot over the last month. But with a lot of Class 1 lasers, which this is, there is a limitation and trade-off for that safety. And a lot of it has to do with the size of the material that you can engrave. Now this right here is representative of approximately the size you can engrave within this machine. And it's pretty close with a lot of other machines as well, which is roughly about 11.5 by 16.5 inches. And this is cut down to size from a larger piece that I had purchased, just so I could fit it in the laser. So I can engrave my project. So if you want to engrave a larger piece of material, you simply can't do it. So if I want anything bigger, I have to cut several different pieces and glue them together. And you can do that, and a lot of people do. There's nothing wrong with that approach. Just you get a lot of seam lines that are really hard to cover up, and it's really kind of difficult to make it look like one cohesive piece at times. Well, WeCreat has come up with a solution for that. This is the WeCreat Auto Passthrough Feeder that allows you to engrave on longer boards, or possibly even do batch engravings and cutting for your projects. This has been created to sit underneath the WeCreat machine. I'll be installing it on the 40-watt, but it will also work on the 20-watt. And WeCreat also says that it's adaptable to other open gantry lasers as well, or ones that meet certain criteria. I won't be showing that in this video. I don't have any of those lasers set up. To demonstrate that, my main focus is putting this on the 40-watt. Like I said, the process is going to be pretty much the same for the 20-watt as well, and should expand our capabilities of the size of material or the length of material that we can engrave and cut on. There's quite a bit to put together in terms of the auto feeder, but once it's together, you really only have to put it together once, unless you have to break it down for lack of space or something along those lines. From what I understand, you can purchase more of these rollers and extend this so you can engrave even longer objects. We're finally to the main attraction, and that is this. This is the main brains of the operation. Oh, this is pretty heavy. This is quite a piece of equipment here. Wow. That is impressive. Let's get this box out of the way. So here's a little bit better look at our actual conveyor. This is the powered part that is going to be feeding your piece through your machine. And it weighs a good 10 pounds or so. And in here we have some really nice machining on some of these parts. You have a really fine knurling on these rollers down here. I'll get a close-up in a moment to make sure that it's going to grip the board. And then you have some plastic rollers at the top to guide everything. And then these wheels, I think, are manual adjustments for the rollers. We're gonna have to check to see what the max thickness is. There's some cutting boards that I have that I hope fit in here. Yeah, I don't think they're going to. That clearance is a little bit tighter than I was hoping, but we'll see. Start getting it together. So here's a quick shot of everything that came in the box. So you have the main piece here, which is the actual power feeder, that has this adjustable piece for going up with this dial here that'll adjust the thickness of the board that you're going to be using. You have a manual roller for feeding the piece in. And this right here is the machining I was talking about. A lot of people may not care about this, but I think it's kind of cool. You have this really fine machined knurling that's used to grip the board and pull it in. And I think that's part of what's going to be powered. There are a lot of parts to put together, so I'm going to go ahead and have to start working on that. I'm not going to necessarily provide a step-by-step guide here, maybe just some general recommendations. And one is to make sure that you're paying attention to your labeling between left frame and right frame, and your front frame and your rear frame or back frame right here. All right, quick note about this build. Everything is made really well. The materials are really good, but the construction of the process of putting together has been a little bit of a pain. I will take partial responsibility for it for not paying attention to something in the instructions, But there's also an issue with labeling, because this says right rail, this says right frame, and this says left frame, which would make sense, or it's labeled left and right. And if that's left and right, I would assume that this is the front. But what I didn't know, and isn't entirely clear in the directions, at least ahead of time, is that you're assembling this upside down. You're eventually going to end up flipping this over, which means that that's the front. And it took me 30 minutes to realize that I was trying to install this bar over here and it wasn't lining up. And it wasn't lining up because these screw orientations, these little slots right here, which is kind of hard to see at the moment, are offset on this one, but on that front one, they're in alignment. So it wasn't going to fit with the other holes. I didn't know that. I spent 30 minutes trying to figure out what was wrong. In addition, when you're screwing them in, it's really hard to align. There's no registration. There's nothing for the bar to butt up against to know it's in the correct spot. And that would make this process a lot easier. Something I figured out is if you actually stand this up on end, you can actually line things up a little bit better. You can see what you're doing a little bit better. And once you get one of those screws in here, it's easier to line up the top one since there's two on each side. Little tip, stand it up on end like this, and I think it's going to be a little bit easier to assemble. You'll be able to see a little bit better and hopefully eliminate some of the frustration that I've been experiencing for the last half hour. But I have the basics of the frame together now, and I think the next step is installing the auto feeder. So let's go ahead and keep moving forward. A couple more quick notes for the install here. There is a triangle gap in the frame here. Make sure that you run the cord through that triangle gap, and then it'll come out in the side frame over here. Make sure that you leave a little bit of slack in your cord. You don't want it overly tight, but you should have more than enough cable when you're done to connect where we're going to connect it inside the laser. The power feeder is somewhat connected. Little rails that it slides onto, single screw, goes on both sides to secure it, and that's a little bit over halfway done with the primary construction. I think within the next 10 to 15 minutes, I could kind of finish that up and finally get the laser on top. And then setting up the rest of the bottom part here before we put on the laser. And the last thing to do before putting the laser on is to slide on the guide rails. Once you have the laser seat on the conveyor, it is cable management time. The power cable needs to get plugged in, and the cable itself needs to get tacked down so it does not get in the way of the laser head as the piece is moving through. When you get your power feeder, the biggest thing to figure out is really space, and that this requires a little bit of a new workflow. You can see right here that this takes up pretty much the entire length of my workbench here. And this workbench is about 5.5 feet long. And you can see how it extends in the back. So if you're going to do a longer piece, you want more support, you can, but you're going to need something else to support these in the back. Not only that, you have to figure out a little bit of cable management, because your cables are going to have to be routed a little bit differently since they can't hang down in the area where your piece is coming out. So zip tying, sticking, my exhaust does not reach now, so I have to get a longer exhaust hose. All things that are solvable and easily fixed, but it's something you have to kind of think through and understand when you're going to be doing larger pieces like this. So the trade-off, you get to do longer engraves, longer cuts, offer more things for your customers. Downside, you have to figure out that new workflow and space for all of this. Let me get my computer connected and we're going to start running our first tests. I'm almost ready to start running my first test. I have my board pretty much loaded up. According to WeCreat, there has to be about 10 millimeters of board visible inside. And I'm feeding that in right now. And I think that is about 10 right there. So from there, I should be able to close the lid. And I already have my design queued up. I'm going to be doing a engraving of one of my latest designs for Lasers Are Cool, which is a kind of a running tagline that I have for a lot of my videos. And I should be able to refresh here and get it positioned correctly. So with that set, I'll set my settings. I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing yet. I'll probably be doing kind of like a light engraving since this is a test anyways. And we'll get started. So my first test is still going. It is almost done. And everything's working out pretty well. Just as I would expect, pretty good quality engrave. It is taking a while, but it is roughly a 36-inch engrave here. So it's going to take a little bit longer. So my engraving is done. And it looks like it came out pretty good. I'll do a full examination of this in a couple of minutes. I want to run one more test. So this was an engrave test with the feeder. And it came out as expected, for the most part. There is one small thing to point out with this, but I'll talk about that after I run my second test. So I did the engrave test. Now I want to do a cutting test on a longer board that's also thinner. That might present some other challenges, but I'm still kind of curious about how it's going to handle the cuts over a long distance. And the board I'm going to be putting in here is about 8 feet long. I'm not going to be cutting the full 8-foot length just because I don't have a design ready to go for that. I guess I could, but I kind of want to get this done at some point. So I'm going to put that in, and we'll get started with the next part. After putting a lot of time into the WeCreat Auto Passthrough Feeder, I have to say that it is definitely something I recommend for anybody that's looking to do larger projects and need to do it all on one board, or large signs, or anything that does not typically fit within the confines of the regular machine. In fact, while I was posting on social media regarding what this can do and what it allows, I picked up 3 jobs from customers who liked the idea of creating something that was larger. So it sparked the imagination and possibilities of my clients just as well as myself for what I want to create and make. Like this sign right here, Lasers Are Cool, which is a tagline that I use for a lot of my videos, and also have shirts with the same, because I really do believe that lasers are really, really cool. In addition to engraving, I also did some cutting projects right here, and I'll show some close-ups of what I did. If you are familiar with the Amazon show Fallout, that is also a game. You should recognize the Nuka-Cola bottles there. There were a couple adjustments I had to make for my workflow as it's cutting out pieces to make sure they didn't get stuck in the feeder as the piece is moving back and forth through the laser. And all those were cut out of this 8-foot piece of 3mm plywood. And you can see a lot of the cutouts there and different testing that I was doing as I was figuring out the workflow. With the feeder that I have here that WeCreat sent out to me, I have the capability of doing boards up to about 10 feet, even though the standard is about 8 from your big box stores. But with the possibility of using such a large board, you get batch engrave or even cut out a lot of your projects that may not have been as easy to do otherwise. So, like I said, this one I have can do potentially up to about 10 feet. They have different packages available, and they also have different laser packages available too, like the 40 watt that I have right here. If you're interested in getting one of these for yourself, whether it is the laser or the pass-through feeder, go ahead and check the description below. I have information there for you to check out and possibly pick up. If you made it this far in the video, I would really like to say thank you. I know it's a long video, but there's a lot of content to get through, and I want to make sure that I'm covering things as thoroughly as I can. I really do like the feeder. There are a couple of things that you have to be aware of and work around, such as the tab setting within the software. I am going to be making a follow-up video that focuses on those 3 or 4 things you need to watch out for and how to work around those potential issues. They're not big issues, they're just things you have to be aware of when you are using this. And so with that, we have finally come to the end. If you have not done so already, go ahead and check out my back catalog of videos. I have a lot of laser videos, DIY and geek-related projects for you to check out and enjoy. I'm sure you'll find something that you like there. If you'd like to support the channel, Best way is to keep watching the videos, but also maybe share it with a friend who you think might also like these types of projects. If you're interested in supporting the channel financially, we have a Patreon at patreon.com/GeekBuilders. As a paid member, you'll have access to exclusive content and also for some cutting and engraving files that are only exclusive to those members. If you're not a paid member, you can still get access to the files, but there is a fee for that. I know the fee might be a little bit high, but Patreon sets the base for that fee. I don't. I'm looking at changing where those files are hosted in the near future, but for right now, they are on Patreon. And I have 3 or 4 more projects ready to go to upload. Once again, if you're a paid member at any level, you get access to all those files and you can download them, make those projects, and sell them. If you'd like to get one of these systems for yourself, whether it's the laser or the auto pass-through feeder, I have links for that down below. WeCreat's always running specials and sales and discounts. Go ahead and check that out. I'm sure you'll find something that falls within what you're looking for. I have other content coming out along with that follow-up video for some of the feeder workarounds and other fun stuff. So in the meantime, don't forget to design, make, and play, and I'll see you next time.